Servus, greetings and hello, it's Tabletop Lenny again. Yes, and it's been a while since I loaded the new video up. This is the English version of my actual studio update. And I'd like to welcome all scale modelers and tabletop fans, miniature wargamers. Yeah, I have been busy and unfortunately I also was ill for a few weeks, and so I get myself into Blender because I always thought, yes, 3D printing and 3D modeling is a great tool for scale modeling. So I came up with my first 3D printed model kit, and yeah, it's a little tiny gun turret. It's It contains several different parts which are connected with magnets. I'm not totally finished that piece because yeah, it's more or less a test piece, and I printed it via Shapeways and I used Blender to make the model. I also tested other softwares like SketchUp and Easy 3D 123 or something like this. But finally I came back to Blender because it's yeah, it is the most professional 3D software, and if you spend a little time, a little is wrong, if you spend a good amount of time and practice and work through all tutorials, you have really a powerful and yeah, very accurate 3D modeling tool. And I printed it on Shapeways. I used the standard quality, and yes, it's the surface is not as fine as I suspected. It is a little bit sandstone-like, but yeah, for the first try, it's okay. I worked it over with sanding and using acrylic filler. In places and with my airbrush pistol, and yeah. But as you can see, it's there are some areas where you can see the polygons and the layers of the printing techniques, and others are more easy to handle and get a better surface finish. But after all, if you are really going for a master, which is my plan to make a reproduction and make casts, I will finally use a more accurate printer on different servers, or yeah, I am looking for it. I got some input, but if you have some input for me and some ideas which printer to use or which service to use, and yeah, where it's not too expensive and where's the quality good, please share with me. I'm really interested in all those details. The turret itself is yeah, it got the socket and the couple, the dome of the turret, and then I got several different weapon options. At first, it's a Panzer cannon or whatever, and I magnetize it. You can plug it in and you can rotate the turret. And then there are additional different guns. This is something like a bolt thrower or granite launcher, twinned. Then I got a TWAT laser gun or something like this, and a sensor unit which could be placed on this socket. And then I got two rocket pods which came on the sides. But after all, I think that's not the master model. So I'm looking for a better print service or choosing the right material. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I need your criticism and your input and your ideas about it. A different topic which I'm working within the last weeks and months is area terrain, and I came up with two different yeah, ideas about area terrain. This one, perhaps you mentioned, is the one with the rock needles which could be placed on it, and the other one is this. It's made from MDF, and then I structured it and I built a couple of yeah, rune stones or Celtic stones which were transported by glacier landscape building effects, and yeah, it's dedicated for uses in medieval or fantasy scenario, but also usable for contemporary or science fiction games. But finally, I thought it's a great idea to have these outcuts and plug them in, but I think it's not the right technique, because afterwards you won't get a complete terrain piece if you move your regiment bases for Warhammer Fantasy through it. So this is much more nice, even if there is no modular terrain piece on it. So I'm not sure which way to go. Finally, I would think about deciding that I would close these outcuts, which I drilled with a Forstner drill, and fill them up and only have this shape where I can plug in the terrain piece, whatever it is. These are the room stones, and I will build an second or an additional terrain module which is flat, so you can place it in when you want to have a even more flat terrain piece. I plan to make molds from it, and I plan to make reproductional casts from it to sell them on a web store. So I have to get a web store, a new website, or an additional website for my blog. And yeah, this is what I'm working currently on, but I finally think that the first method, to have a base which is even and flat and also interesting, because I think that is interesting and very flat. You can place nearly everywhere in miniature on it, and this is a little bit more rough and more complicated, and it finally do not look really nice when it's not completed. When it's completed, it's a really nice finished terrain piece, obviously. But yeah, I will show you. There are the pieces that you can plug in. And yes, it's a nice tiny root stone terrain piece. Another difficulty with these stones, I made them from foam, and then I stamped them with small stones and overworked them with X-Acto knife and all those things. Then I graved in these Celtic runes which are inside. But I think it's I want to have more detail by these rune marks on the stone. So I think it's perhaps a good idea to make a mold, cast this stone model, and then afterwards cast it in plaster and work on the plaster. So I expected that I can make more detail and more sharp details in it, because when you work with foam, it's always a little bit limited how detailed you can work. There are my ideas about this. If you have some input and criticism from me, it would be really nice. And yeah, obviously stay tuned. I will show up my progress on YouTube or on my blog. And by the way, check out Google+. We have a big wargaming terrain group where everybody can post their terrain making stuff, and we can discuss and get inspired. So check out Google+. Wargaming terrain group. It's growing every day, and we got over 1,500 or 1,700 people that are involved. It's a really nice group. What else do we have in this studio update? We have this cat, and I'm planning to build a diorama. This is just for myself, which is related to the game Fallout. I also got some miniatures which are comparable to the Fallout miniatures. I got a Securiton robot from, I think the miniature maker is called Brazavini. You have to check him on Google. I will put the link down below. And yeah, I want to make a winking cat manufacturing place. And yeah, I want to place some outlanders that investigate the manufacturing and building, and Securiton is protecting it. So I want to make a Fallout themed diorama which is related to a winking cat factory. And another project is coming up, which is in cooperation with a laser cut terrain maker from Germany. He's called War Mage Terrain. I will put the link down below. And we will make a diorama. I will work with his laser cut terrain, and I built the diorama and painted the terrain structure and the buildings. And we will use the toughest girls of the universe miniatures, and they got painted by Fantasio Studio, which is a painting service from Germany. And yeah, we try to make a cooperation. Warmage, by the way, big up Niels. He's will show this diorama on events and fairs, trade fairs. Yeah, and we try to make a nice advertisement cooperation between some small businesses that came up in the wargaming, miniature wargaming industry and modeling industry. So stay tuned and check out miniature wargaming, Warmage terrain building, and Fantasio Studio, the toughest girls of the universe, and Tabletop Lenny, which I think it will be an awesome combination. And next, and that is the last thing that I would put in this video, is casting techniques. I tested different casting materials from resin, which is obviously very steady and but you need a pressure chamber and all those things. So I came back to testing plaster. I used just simple plaster, which was not really satisfying to me because you always get some bubbles. But last but not least, I came back to a very interesting casting plaster, which is called Stevalin. It's a mixture between a resin and a classic plaster. And what is interesting about this, that you can dilute it with water so it gets more fluid. And you can make casts which have nearly any bubbles without using a vacuum chamber or a vibration table or something like this. These are some of my walls, and these are the hedges for the 100 years or medieval uses. And finally, I think for small pieces like this, Stevalin is a great material to use. If you're interested in more, I get posts on my blog about the 3D printing experiences, and I will come up and present to you the project, the cooperation between Warmage and the toughest girl of the universe. And there are a few little more things going, and I will keep the train going. If you get inspired, it would be awesome to get a link, like, and share, because I want to reach more people. I want to set up an online store and get into the reproduction of modeling, make this small turret available for everybody and things like this. So it's very important for me to reach more people in the miniature wargaming and scale modeling world. Thank you very much for listening and watching my video, and stay tuned. I will come sooner or later with a new video about the new projects that are coming up. Keep on building, enjoy your life, and perhaps see you soon on a convention or a trade fair. Bye.